Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Dominique Martin, a licensed therapist, and today we're going to talk about how to get unstuck from those negative patterns in your relationship. You know the ones I'm talking about, the cycles of frustration, tension, or miscommunication that seems to repeat no matter how hard you try to interrupt them. I'm going to break down what these patterns look like, why they happen, and most importantly, how to interrupt them and create healthier dynamics together. So let's dive in. Most couples don't argue about what they think they're arguing about. They stuck in a negative relationship pattern and don't even see it. If your relationship feels stuck, it may be because y'all stuck in the same emotional pattern on repeat. Same pattern, different situation. Okay, let's take a moment to recognize what negative relationship patterns can look like and sound like. These patterns can show up in many forms, and often you don't realize you're stuck in them until they start affecting the connection you share. Negative relationship patterns are automatic habits or cycles where both partners are protecting themselves, usually without realizing it. Here are a few common examples. Conflict happens, there's no recovery conversation or repair, emotional distance lingers, and the next conflict is bigger. All right, another example is overreacting to seemingly small issues. For instance, when a small disagreement over something like leaving the laundry on the floor becomes a huge argument because it taps into underlying frustrations. All right, another pattern that can keep couples stuck is blaming each other. Y'all might find yourselves frequently pointing fingers at each other. So saying things like, you always do this, or why can't you just understand? These statements keep things stuck. All right, another pattern that can keep the relationship stuck is avoiding conflict. So one partner might shut down and withdraw when things get tough, while the other might become frustrated, creating more distance. So one of the most common patterns that keep relationships stuck is communication breakdowns. So y'all may talk, but it doesn't feel like anyone is listening, or what's being said gets misunderstood. These are just a few examples. Ultimately, negative patterns look like recurring behaviors, habits, or thoughts that leave you feeling stuck, disconnected, and frustrated. So, what can you do about it? Before we jump in how to interrupt these patterns, let's talk about why we get stuck in them in the first place. Often, these negative dynamics are the result of a few things: unresolved past issues, unspoken hurts, unhealed wounds, or unmet needs from the past. These can shape how you show up in your current relationship. For example, if you grew up in an environment where emotional needs were not met, you may struggle to communicate your feelings now. Also, different coping mechanisms play a huge role. One partner might shut down to avoid conflict, while the other might try to force conversation. These coping mechanisms, though protective at first, can reinforce unhealthy cycles. Another factor that contributes to maintaining unhealthy patterns is unclear expectations or unspoken needs. If you and your partner are not on the same page about what each of you need from the relationship, frustration can quickly set in, leading to negative patterns. All right, now let's talk about how to interrupt these patterns. Here are some tips and strategies that can help you and your partner get unstuck and create healthier relationship dynamics. To interrupt a negative pattern, you have to catch it early while it's happening and call it out. Every pattern has a signal: negative thoughts, raised voices, shutting down. Those are warning signs. The first step is awareness. Start by identifying the pattern. And you can do this by reflecting on what's happening in the relationship. So things like, when do you find yourselves arguing over the same things? Or what happens just before conflict? Recognizing the pattern is key because it gives you the chance to interrupt it before it repeats. And once you've identified the pattern, dig deeper into why it keeps happening. This is also a time to reflect. Is there any unaddressed fears, past wounds, or unmet needs? The more you can understand the underlying cause, the more power you have to change it. Often, we fall into negative patterns because we react unconsciously or by default. So take a pause. When you feel that familiar frustration building, take a deep breath and give yourself a moment to gather your thoughts. This pause can be a game changer because it gives you the space to respond consciously and not react out of habit. All right, another way to interrupt a pattern is to do something unexpected. Patterns survive because your brain predicts your next move or defaults to what you've always done. If you interrupt the prediction, you interrupt the pattern. To change it, you need a new behavior. So instead of reacting the way you always do, pause and ask, what's my next best step towards connection? Clear communication is essential. If you don't express your needs or feelings clearly, it's easy for misunderstandings to happen. So avoid vague statements like, you always do this, and instead try to focus on, I feel when you. This opens up the conversation and helps your partner understand where you're coming from without feeling blame. And just like clear communication is essential, listening is just as important. Listening allows empathy and can prevent misunderstandings. Interrupting negative patterns ain't just about stopping the unhealthy habits, it's about creating new positive patterns to replace the unhealthy ones. Start small. For example, y'all could commit to having a weekly check-in or establish a ritual like saying something you appreciate about each other every day. Let me say this. Building new habits takes time, but eventually these small efforts will become y'all's new normal. Every relationship has its ups and downs, but remember, interrupting negative relationship patterns takes patience and effort, but it's absolutely possible with a little effort and intention. You can absolutely get unstuck and create the relationship you truly want by identifying the root cause, pausing before reacting, communicating your needs, listening actively, and creating new habits together. Y'all may start to see positive changes in y'all's relationship. Relationships are a journey, and being proactive about shifting these patterns will help you grow closer, build trust, and strengthen your bond. Thank you so much for joining me on this video. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment for more relationship tools. As always, stay motivated, and I'll see you on the next video.